G'day guys. A friend asked if I could take a look at an old laptop they picked up to try and hopefully restore it so they could use it for some old XP era gaming. The first thing I noticed when I finally got my hands on it was it had the TPG logo. These days, TPG is primarily an Australian internet service provider, but back in late 2003, they opened pre-orders for what I could see was their first laptop since becoming an ISP. They were asking $1,500 Australian dollars, plus an extra $100 for delivery with no option for local pickup, which did seem to annoy a fair few people. There's a fairly big archive thread over on the Whirlpool forums discussing this laptop, and the general consensus was this was one of the best value laptops available at the time. There was also a bit of a conspiracy that TPG were intentionally sending out laptops with dead pixels, and they even mentioned in the FAQ that up to 5 dead pixels is normal, but thankfully there doesn't seem to be any weight to this conspiracy, since most buyers reported having no dead pixels once it arrived. Not everyone was that lucky, it seems though. Funnily enough, TPG released 2 new, more powerful models for cheaper only a few weeks after this model came out, which obviously upset everyone that pre-ordered the original one. After a bit more digging, it looks like this is just a rebadged Amira laptop and not an original design. These originally shipped with a PCM CIA wireless card and a special TPG Windows XP CD, neither of which this one has, which is a bit of a shame. I'm guessing the XP CD was just a recovery disc, potentially with their logo preset as the desktop wallpaper. Anyway, enough rambling, let's power it on and see if it even works. So it didn't come with a charger either, but I do have this cheap universal one. It does have multi-voltage. I've just set it to 18. This laptop does want 18.5 volts, but I think 18 should be enough. Also, I wasn't able to find the exact barrel jack that I needed, but this one does seem to work. We've plugged it in, and we do have the power light on the front, so that's a good sign. We'll open it up and see if it actually turns on. So it did turn on, but the screen's incredibly dim. I'm not even sure if you can actually see the screen. I'll see if I can focus down on it a bit better. There we go. The power light is pretty bright. So it looks like our CMOS battery's dead, that's fine. We'll press delete to get into setup. There is a fairly high-pitched whine, it's pretty annoying. Not too sure if the camera's picking it up. So straight away, there's no hard drive it looks like, or it's not detected, it could be dead. It does have 512 meg RAM, which is good. It also has an option to boot from floppy disk, but this laptop does not have one. It might have been an optional extra, or maybe you could swap out the DVD-ROM back in the day. So now we know it does turn on. We'll go exit saving changes, although no hard drive was detected, so I don't think it's going to boot. And no operating system found. We'll power it back off and we'll see if there's a hard drive and it's just failed or if it's just missing entirely. So flipping it over, there are a few service panels. I'm guessing this one would be the hard drive, so we'll start with that. I've just undone the very small screw and it should slide out. It's very light, pretty sure it's empty. Yeah, it's empty. But they were nice enough to keep the caddy screws. Taking a look in the port, we can see it is IDE, not SATA. Obviously back in 2003, I wasn't expecting SATA. So I will have to try and find an old mini IDE hard drive. I did find this old 40 gig one. I'm not too sure what's on it. I'm guessing I pulled it out of an old laptop. So hopefully it works. We'll take the little caddy off it that's already on it, and we'll pop it in the proper caddy. There we go. It's in the little caddy now. We'll slide it back in. We'll put the little screw back in as well. I'm a little bit curious what's under these other 3 panels. I'm pretty sure this is just the battery though. And yep. Lithium. 14.8 volts. 4.4 amp hour. And if you're wondering, the battery model is W72044LA. This looks like the RAM cover. And it was. So that'll be our 512 meg stick. There might be a second SODIMM slot inside, but in BIOS there was 512 total. When I was looking on the Wayback Machine, it looks like this also came in a 256 meg RAM variant. Also on the RAM cover, we have a Windows XP Home Edition key, and it does say TPG under it, so that is a little bit interesting. I wonder what's under this port actually. Looks like a mini PCI, not mini PCIe, wireless card. Annoyingly, I had around 200 of these cards, picked up years ago from an old job, but I did get rid of them all. I wish I would have kept 1 or 2 though, just for times like this. So we definitely don't have wireless. Also, I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but the full model is TPG W720-K7. Taking a look at the left-hand side of the laptop, we've got our modem and Ethernet port, microphone and headphone sockets, a PCM CIA card slot. It is empty. That's our little hard drive cover there we took off earlier. On the back, we've got a full-size parallel port, VGA port, S-video port. That would be awesome for connecting to an old TV, Firewire, 3 USB ports, and obviously our power jack. It also looks like one of the hinges is missing its little cover. Doesn't seem to affect it though. On the right hand side, we've got a DVD burner. That would have been the bee's knees back in 2003. And there's just power and hard drive indicator on the front. Let's power it on and see what's on this hard drive. We've gone back into the BIOS, and it has detected our hard drive, so that's a great sign. It also doesn't look like we have any dead pixels. So I'm not too sure how common the dead pixel issue actually was back in the day. It may have been blown a little bit out of proportion. We'll leave everything as default, save changes, and hopefully there's something already installed on this hard drive. Looks like it's got a bad install. That's fine. I won't bother checking what's on there. I could put it into a caddy. I'm guessing since it was in my spare hard drive box, there's nothing too important on there. We'll do a fresh install of Windows XP Service Pack 3. So it's been a little bit, and I did encounter a few issues. The built-in DVD reader does not work on this. It just keeps clicking. So my first thought was to try a USB CD reader or DVD reader. Unfortunately, this model is too old. It does not boot from USB. Obviously, I could use something like Plop Boot Manager, which should let me boot from USB. But the next problem is, how do I get Plop to boot? Since again, I can't load from CD and there's no floppy drive. On newer laptops, the optical drive can usually be hot swapped. There's usually a single screw, you undo it and the optical drive just slides out. Unfortunately, not the case on this one. I would have to take the entire back cover off. And there's still no guarantee that the optical drive doesn't use a proprietary connector, which wasn't really uncommon back in the day. I also have this USB floppy drive, but again, this laptop just won't boot from USB. My new plan is to hopefully try and sideload the XP installer onto the hard drive itself using this USB IDE reader, and hope that works. So I ended up creating a new virtual machine on my main PC, pass this drive through as a physical drive, and set up Windows XP up to the point where it wants to restart the computer for the first time. So basically it's just finished copying all the setup files over and made the drive bootable. So hopefully when we put it back into this laptop, it should boot from it and finish the setup. Also, if you're wondering, the drive was completely empty. It only had a boot partition. Just gone back into BIOS to make sure it is still detected, and it is, so that's good. We'll go save changes and cross our fingers. Got an abnormally long black screen. Seems to be doing something. The hard drive light is solid on. The CPU fan's ramped right up, so it might be trying to do stuff. It's been over a minute and there's still nothing on the screen. Been about 5 minutes, there's no change. And I was very wrong about the hard drive light. That is the battery light. Guessing it thinks it is fully charged, but the actual hard drive light isn't moving at all. So half installing it in VMware doesn't work. I know for things like Windows 95, Windows 98, it does work, but I'm guessing Windows XP installs the correct drivers while it's copying the files over and not after the first reset. I think I'll power it off, pop the drive back into my computer and install Plop Boot Manager onto the drive itself, which should let us boot from our external USB CD drive. Hopefully the screen's not too bad. I have had to move over to my tripod. So I've written Plop Boot Manager to the hard drive using the USB adapter once more. And I've put it back in. We'll see if it boots. And it did. So this is Plop Boot Manager. It's a very, very small bootloader. And it lets you load from a heap of different devices. The one we're interested in is USB. You can't see it, but I am using my USB CD-ROM drive once more. We'll pop the CD in. And we'll try and boot from USB. So there's no activity on my USB CD reader. It's not even spinning. It looks like it's not going to work with this PC. I've rebooted it once more, but this time I unplugged my external CD reader and instead connected my very old Windows 7 USB installer. So we'll see if that works. That's a good sign. It looks like it is booting from my Windows 7 USB installer. That's awesome. So I've finally loaded the Windows 7 installer. Didn't take too long. And it looks like the trackpad does work, which is great. I'm wondering if it's even worth installing Windows 7, since my friend did actually want a Windows XP gaming machine. So I think now we know we can boot from USB. I will try and make a USB Windows XP installer. Before we do that, I'll just make sure we can still write to the hard drive, just because we did boot Plop from it. It does say Windows can't be installed to disk 0. Oh, that's fine, we just have to reformat it. Yeah, I think we'll try and make a USB Windows XP installer and come back. I ended up using Rufus to create the bootable USB Windows XP installer. Apparently it just works these days. I remember way back in the day, maybe before 2010, maybe 2008, 2009, I did have a lot of issues trying to get XP installed from a USB flash drive. So we'll go down to USB and hopefully that's good. Awesome, it loaded. Used to get a few random errors, but doesn't seem to be the case anymore, so that's good. So it's found both the internal hard drive as well as our 8 gig flash drive. We obviously don't want to install it to the flash drive. Now, the hard drive does have plop installed onto it, so once I wipe it, if setup fails for whatever reason, I will have to remove the hard drive, pop it back into my main PC, and rewrite plop to it. So let's hope it just works first try. I'll delete the partition, press D, enter L, create a new one, quick format, and just cross our fingers. This is probably going to take a while, so I think we'll come back once it's finished installing, or if anything interesting happens. So it's only been about a minute or two, and we've got this file error. We'll retry, press enter. Unfortunately, it didn't copy over, which is really weird. So we'll press escape to skip this file. Hopefully the next file's there. Not good either. There's a bunch of files missing. There's like 20 files so far. We're only 70% of the way through the installer as well. That is really terrible. I wonder what the issue is. So I've skipped probably 100 files, which is definitely not good. The indicator light on the flash drive is still flashing, so it must be trying to read it. I might pull the flash drive out, pop it into my main PC, and just see if this file is there. And that should tell us if the file is genuinely missing, or if for some reason it stopped reading from our flash drive. So the file was there. I put the flash drive back into this laptop, pressed enter, and it copied about a dozen more files, and then it's failed again. I wonder if I just need to keep reinserting the flash drive for it to work. I have no idea what's causing this issue. So it's almost finished installing. I did have to skip way too many files, so I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't boot at all. And we're at like 99.9%, and it's another error. We'll try skip this file, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to rewrite plop to the internal hard drive, and we'll try the whole XP setup again using a different flash drive, just in case it is failing. Yeah, no surprises. It doesn't boot. We'll try the built-in startup repair though. Nah, it doesn't work. Alright, I'll power everything off, take the hard drive back out, rewrite plop, and create a different Windows XP USB installer. So I redid the same steps again, wrote the plop boot manager back to the internal hard drive, and created another USB Windows XP installer on a different flash drive, and it just worked. So I'm guessing my other flash drive is failing. We'll finish the Windows XP setup, and come back when we're on the desktop. Midway through the Windows XP setup, we did get a blue screen, so I'll reset it and hopefully it hasn't permanently failed. So it is just stuck on this black screen, nothing's happened, doesn't look like it's gonna work. I don't think we'll bother trying Windows XP again. Instead, we'll see if we can get Windows 7 installed, just to make sure all the hardware does work. So it's about half an hour later now. The hard drive has completely failed. It's no longer detected in either this laptop or on my main PC using this adapter. The good news is, that's why Windows XP did blue screen. So I think once we get a replacement hard drive, then we should be able to get this up and running. I probably won't bother trying to get another IDE hard drive. Instead, I think I will get a compact flash to IDE adapter. It should be a lot faster than this hard drive, especially if I use a decent high quality compact flash card. I will order some stuff from AliExpress, but unfortunately it won't be here for a few weeks, so this might be a project for a future video. I am pretty disappointed we weren't able to get it working today. I was hoping to play some old XP games on it before having to give it back. I am glad that we learnt you can use Rufus to create a bootable USB Windows XP installer. As mentioned, back in the day, it was a huge headache trying to get the installer booting from USB, but Rufus does just simplify everything. I might also see if I can find a replacement optical drive for this laptop or the Amira one that this is based on. But realistically, since USB works, I don't think my friend's gonna bother using the CD drive once everything's installed. I think that'll do it for today. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.